Hello, Asha fans, back for another preview episode here for the Asha playoffs. Still in Pescatore here with the president, Kenny McGinley. Kenny, it was a big day yesterday at Mullet Arena, four quarterfinal games. The first time Asha has ever done that in one day. How did you think it went, and how was your experience dealing with everything going on?
Hey, Dylan. I think it went great. I was excited, as I'm sure you were as well. You were a madman for calling four games by yourself. But no, I think it was a terrific day. Just flows of people in and out of the building from 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night. But it's got the chance to have the big time show and play under the bright lights at Mullet. It was just an awesome day for Asha and for all the teams that were there.
We talked about the experience. 8 of the 12 teams in Division One earned their way to play at Mullet Arena, an experience that, win or loss, those kids are going to remember for the rest of their careers. Let's get into those games from yesterday. Let's start with the early game. Desert Vista, which was coming off an incredible upset in the playing round, came up down 4-0 to Notre Dame, won in a shootout, a 7-round affair on Saturday. Had to play the early game against Flagstaff. How was it having the Avalanche back facing off with the Thunder, and DV's miracle kind of continued? They won 4-2 in that opening game, and DV, the number 9 seed, is headed to the semifinals.
Yeah, you'll have to tell me more about these games as you got to watch them while I was running around like crazy the whole time. I just hear the goals be scored and people cheer and have to guess which team is creating the action. You get to see DV's game against Notre Dame on Saturday night, and the third period there was incredible. It's kind of eerily similar to 2 years ago, dare I say, where they maybe kind of lurked around all year and they get really thorough. And apparently, they just like playing at Mullet Arena too. So the parts that I saw of them yesterday, they looked like they were on a mission. Flag, obviously tough for them to come down the hill. Whoever they had a couple weeks off prior to this game, still a terrific season representing Flagstaff and Northern Arizona throughout the league this year to finish third. It's their best finish in many years, probably 10 years in our league. So for that, they build on that for next year. But yeah, anything I missed exciting in that game yesterday?
Well, Desert Vista always brings a lot of energy and a lot of fans at that as well. And we talked a little bit on the broadcast about rest versus rust. Flagstaff and all the number 1 seeds, or the 1 to 4, hadn't played together in 2 weeks. Desert Vista played, together 17 hours ago at the Ice Den on Saturday night. So they had to come back, and they were up 3-0 in the first period before you could even blink. Flagstaff got a goal at the end of the first by Jack Hickey, but Desert Vista's offense, defense, and goaltending with Joaquin Keeler has been really good. And Kenny, you have to tell me this. Do you remember a lower seed, a number 9 seed, going to the semifinals? I know we had Bassett a couple of years ago, number 7, but a team that really didn't perform well in the regular season, turning it on in the playoffs like this?
Yeah, probably not. And partially this is year 25 of Asha, and for at least 20 of those years, nine seeds in the Division One bracket. So there obviously it's hard to get a 9 seed in there. I would think this is probably one of our lowest seeds to make it to the semifinals. But as noted, I could almost argue even not a 9 seed. I know that's where they're in after the regular season, but their best is up there with the other team's best. It's just who's missing the travel players during the year, who gets the scheduling breaks, who's healthy, who wins the season isn't always indicative of who's the best team come playoff time.
Desert Vista was the number 5 seed when they won the championship a couple of years ago, and now looking to do it again. The second game yesterday was between Hamilton and Basha, the 4 seed, and the number 5 seed, 4 seed Huskies, 5 seed Bearcats. And Basha got on the board first. The lower seed scored first again with Max Cable with a really nice goal past Dom Seligman. But after that, he didn't allow anything for the rest of that game. Seligman was really, really strong, saved 3 or 4 really good breakaway chances for Basha as well. And Hamilton offensively, we know how much skill they have in the top 6, but they looked a little quiet in the first period and a half. They didn't have a lot of chances. They were working the outside a little bit too much, but Nick Nunez had a great slap shot goal from the right circle to get their scoring started. And then the Huskies kind of went from there. Nunez with 2 goals in under 2 minutes. Then Pudakov added one on a breakaway on a backhand chance, along with Koshel in the third period for the Huskies. But their MVP was Dom Seligman. And Kenny, you know it. A hot goalie can kind of solve it all for a team.
It's a huge weapon at this level, and And yeah, I think Dom was just doing Dom things. I don't think that first Nunez goal. I happened to be watching when that happened. I saw him wind up as the puck was kind of chasing away from him, and I was like, "That's an interesting decision to try to one time this while the puck is going away from you." And apparently knew that I didn't. An unbelievable shot, and kind of flipped the momentum there because you're right. They were just kind of there until that happened and kind of ignited them, and then Dom said, "I got you, boys. We'll write it in from here."
It's going to be very important to see Dom Seligman in a big game again. Now his third team in 3 years of high school. He's had a ton of playoff experience at that. He'll face off in the semis on Tuesday, which we're going to get into in a little bit. The third game yesterday was the number one Mountain Ridge Mountain Lions taking on number 11 Horizon, which upset Campo in the play-in games on Saturday. Horizon, we know, has some of the best top six skill players: Orion Pesic, Will Hoffman, EJ Green, and Daniel Medea as well. But it was a question of how could they kind of match up defensively with such a great offensive team like Mountain Ridge, a team that scored almost 6 goals per game in the regular season, lost only once. Overall, Horizon did a pretty good job defensively, and Mountain Ridge looked a little slow. They didn't look like themselves. It was their first playoff game since last year where they lost to Notre Dame in the semifinals. But Mountain Ridge survived. They played well defensively, and I think the key member of their team, we always talk about Babin and McCosh and some of their great players offensively. Easton Stiller was really good last night. He only had to face 15 shots, but some of them were grade A opportunities against great players from Horizon, and he was really good. So Mountain Ridge does move on, but not without a great performance from Horizon.
Two or like that, I think it's safe to say both goalies played extremely well. Cheers to Spencer on Horizon as well. I think he already played a heck of a game. I know they got outshot pretty handedly. Great, effort from, we were talking about the 9 seed. How about an 11 seed putting the scare into the seed all the way down to, I think they have a lot more to give. I think they did just enough to win that game, but they're going to have to play better on Tuesday night if they want to make it to the big show on Saturday. And they know that as well.
They definitely do. Desert Vista is going to bring a lot to the table on Tuesday for the semifinals tomorrow night. We're filming this on Monday. The last game of the night started around 8:20. Everyone was kind of feeling it by them. And Pinnacle, number 2, taking on number 10 Centennial. One 3 of 4 upsets in the playing round. The Coyotes beat Brophy 6-0. And Centennial hung with them there defensively. Again, these lower seeds hung out with them defensively, but Pinnacle kind of, they had long offensive zone shifts. They were tiring out the Coyotes, who were a very young team, and eventually Tyson Derryberry with the goal at the end of the first period. And then it was Alex Illing in the second, and Carson Kamen finished it off. Came in with 3 points last night on 3 goals. I think the key story, of course, we know Pinnacle's offense, but once again, a goaltender that only started 5 games at D1 in the regular season, and Mark Michelson, he was pretty good. Centennial didn't have a lot of chances, but you never know in these playoff games. And overall, he came up big with a shutout.
Yeah, and I think they played relatively good. Still not their best. They've got more. Um, Cheers to Logan Gibbs on Centennial. I think he weathered quite the storm there early. I know that I'm not sure he got a good view of it. I was sitting right behind him when that I think he was a little screen there, but great effort by Centennial. Obviously, terrific run last year. Lost a lot of those in the final game last year and on nationals, but to kind of put a scare into a really good Pinnacle team and show up at Mullet again. I'm guessing that was deemed a success for how many they graduated last year.
15 seniors from that team last year. So it confirmed that we're going to have a new champion this year in Division One. We had 3 or 4 upsets in the playing round, 3 or 4 favorites won in the quarterfinal round. Our seeds now 1, 2, 4, and 9. So let's get into the semifinal matchups that we have tomorrow night, starting with the first game at 6:30 at Mullet Arena. Number 2 Pinnacle against number 4 Hamilton. I'm really excited for this game. Both teams have really good offenses. Their top sixes match up defensively as well. I think Pinnacle probably has a little bit more experience than Hamilton, who is running a younger decor. I think the key in this game is going to be goaltending for each side. You have an experienced Dom Seligman on Hamilton, and you have not a rookie, a senior, Mark Michelson, but his first year with Pinnacle. We'll see if he gets the start or Ben Stanger, the junior, gets the start. But goaltending is going to prove big in here, and Seligman could carry his team to another win, and it would be an upset over Pinnacle.
Yeah, 100%. I think we're also getting to the point where pressure and who rises to the occasion is going to be maybe the biggest factor of all in these games. The lights at Mullet are bright, the ice is bigger overall, and we see weird things happen. I mean, we just look at the past 2 years in our games, like we see weird things happen at Mullet Arena, and that makes for a great show. Pinnacle obviously hasn't made it final game, which is for that program to go a couple years in a row without making it to the title game, and so they're knocking on the door for their first time to play in the big show. And then Hamilton, that was their first time taking the ice at Mullet. Now they've got a game under their belt. They've hopefully soaked in that atmosphere, and who can handle the pressure, who can perform when it matters the most. And both teams are more than capable. They have a ton of very good players on either side. It's going to be exciting to see.
It absolutely will. For Hamilton and Pinnacle, two, or I should say three forwards that you have to look out for each team. Carson Kamen, Logan Chitka, Alex Illing for Pinnacle. For Hamilton, Jack Welch, Nick Nunez, Arseny Pudakov, and so many more. For all those teams, those two teams are some of the most skillful in terms of offense. The late game tomorrow is going to be the number one Mountain Ridge, who moved on after taking down Horizon 2-1. They are going to take on Desert Vista, who is this, you could say, upstart program, but they are the only program in the last 3 years to make it to Mullet every year. They had the championship the first year. Last year they lost to Pinnacle in the quarterfinals, and then this year they now won the play-in. They've won the quarterfinals, and they're in the semis. Let me ask you this, Kenny: has Desert Vista kind of installed themselves in those top programs that are winning cultures and are winning every single year in these big games?
And it feels like it's maybe shifted back a little bit. I think good relationships with the travel programs, with the Southern Travel Programs, Bobcats, and DY has really helped them. And then winning solves a lot of things. They got that great group of kids a couple years ago that all peaked as seniors at the right time, went on that magical run to win our first year at Mullet. That inspires a lot of kids to want to play that maybe were on the fence about whether or not they want to play high school hockey. Uh, they clearly experience of delivering when the pressure's on. They even made a good run last year, just coming up slightly short, but that, it's contagious. And you see it happen like whenever once in the second yesterday, 2 days ago against Notre Dame, you could just feel like they started to kind of, not to be cheesy, but believe in each other a little bit more and believe that it was attainable. And it's a contagious thing. And
Mountain Ridge, the toughest team to beat in Division One this year. They only lost one game, and that was back in September on the 29th against Pinnacle, a 3-2, very close game that went down to the last few minutes. To beat Mountain Ridge, it's going to be tough, but Mountain Ridge also knows they have to be better than they were against Horizon. I know you didn't get to see a lot of the game, but for Mountain Ridge and what you got to see this year from them, what are the keys to their game? What do they have to get back to in this semifinal game against Stevie?
you're playing for something different, the chance to play in front of a large crowd and your peers and to for a state championship, real state championship. That adds a lot of pressure, and weird things happen when pressure. Clearly have all of the ability and skill to do it. We've seen it all year long. They're more than capable. It's not the question. The question is, can you deliver when it matters? Desert Vista, some of those kids have proven that they have done it and do it. And their coach told me last night, we're playing with house money. We're at the dessert table right now. They were down 4-0, 20 minutes into the game on Saturday. They're just happy to be here and still playing hockey at this point. That's a freeing attitude. That's a good place to be in. Where Mountain Ridge is probably playing with the target on their back. They're expected to be there. If they don't make a game, it's a disappointment. It's a completely different tale of tape. We can even think about ASU football this year, right? When they were playing Texas. Texas was the one of the favorites to make it to the championship game. That expectation all year long. ASU was picked to finish dead last. Like, it's a weird things happen when you play with those different mindsets, and it creates chaos. And that's why we love championship sports.
Yes, we do. And hopefully there's no targeting call in the game on Tuesday night against DV. and Mountain Ridge that will determine that game. Kenny, give us how fans can get to the game tomorrow night, the whole information, and then of course the big championship game Saturday at Mullet, February 1st at 6 p.m. Give us how fans can get there and how we can get that Mullet packed.
Yeah, obviously Mullet Arena, home of Arizona State hockey in Tempe, Arizona, right on campus there. Wristbands required for entry. They're sold at the door at end of games. Concessions will be open. Seating's general admission, first come, first serve, sit wherever you want. It'll be great tomorrow night. And then our website, ashaplayoffs.com, has the link for Ticketmaster tickets for Saturday's game. We obviously have one goal in mind. I have no preference of what teams make it. I'm happy for anyone who makes it, and we just want the best game possible. But our one goal is to have that building as close to full as possible. These kids, that unbelievable atmosphere, our hockey community in Arizona deserves something good to happen after the turmoil that has happened with our NHL club in recent years. We deserve a feel good story. These kids deserve it. We want to make it happen. We want to create something exciting that we build on for years to come. And kind of, I want to say it, we're never going to be Minnesota high school tournament. That's unrealistic. But if we're next, I'm really, really happy with that.
It would be great to see it. We want everyone to come out to Mullet Arena. 2 games tomorrow for the semis and then the championship on Saturday. We'll see you tomorrow at Mullet for the semis.